Had a real strong budget this year. Our budget this year was $353 million. It's about a 4.8% increase over last year. This year we put $8 million into a capital fund. Last year was the first year we were able to start that capital fund. We put $13 million in last year. We opted for a 1 cent tax decrease this year and still put $8 million in a capital fund to allow us to begin to meet some of the needs that we know are coming. We're building a substation down here in South County for the Sheriff's Department. We've got a radio tower that's going to have to be moved. It's be almost a $2 million price tag. We know that we're going to have some expansion needs in our jail in the very near future. We're going to build a new forensic facility. We've outgrown our facility here now. So we've got a lot of capital projects that we know are coming up. Instead of issuing debt for those projects, we're trying to set aside some capital funds so we can pay as you go, issue a minimal amount of debt as we go forward. We were able to put about $2.9 million back into our debt service fund, into a savings account for debt service going forward. We were told just this last week in court, we had our financial advisors in. It indicated that based on some refunding that we're going to be able to do and some issuance of new bonds this year, our debt service tax rate next year, we may be able to reduce by another penny. Which every chance we get to reduce taxes, we have to consider that. My question to you, and you'll probably get some mailers later, is where do you stand on that? Would you rather see a 1 cent reduction in your tax rate, or those dollars used to pay down some of the debt? In my opinion, paying down the debt would probably be a good idea, but we get like to get a lot of input from residents as we go forward. So we'll be getting some information out to you later as that goes on. We're able to put about 12 new positions in, most of those law enforcement, to get more deputies out on the street. Our retirement fund is funded at 88%. You hear a lot of times cities and counties are in a lot of trouble with their retirement plans. We're funded at 88%. That's a fact I'm really proud of. So we're trying to do things to make sure that we're looking to the future and trying to find smart ways to grow and meet the needs of this county. We've reduced our tax rate over the last 10 years about 2 cents. If you look it's been incremental reductions to try to balance out what's happening with appraisals. And we know there's going to be some changes in the legislature this year. What's going to happen with appraisal reform and some things there. So we're not really sure how that's going to impact us yet. We'll be anxious to see what comes out of this legislative session. It's interesting when you look at Montgomery County compared to other entities. And this is where I find it kind of fascinating to me. At the federal level, we spend just over $12,000 per capita to fund the federal government. A lot of money. It's a big ticket every year. At the state level, it's about $3,800 per person. The city of Conroe for their operations is about $2,400 per capita. Woodlands Township, somewhere around $1,100 per person annually to fund the operations of the Woodlands Township. Montgomery County, our cost is just over $600 per person. I want you to think about that for a second. That's $50 per person per month to fund the operations of county government. Well, what can you get for $50 a month? You can't get a cell phone for $50 a month. You can't get cable TV with internet for $50 a month. You can't get water, sewer, and garbage pickup for $50 a month. You can't get a gym membership for $50 a month. For $50 a month in county services, what you do get is the 7th largest sheriff's department in the state of Texas, 5 JPs, 5 constables, 5 county courts of law, 7 district courts, county attorney, district attorney, county clerk, district clerk, adult and juvenile probation, veteran services, animal control, mosquito control, the convention and expo center, the airport, libraries, parks, roads, debt service on the debt we do carry, and a balanced budget every single year. To me, that's a pretty good deal. We work really hard. Commissioners work really, really hard to manage the dollars that we actually spend. My mom and dad are retired, they're on a fixed income. I have a daughter that's a single mom. My wife and I pay taxes just like everybody else. So every vote that I cast on Commissioner's Court, I think about how it affects every single person across that whole realm. And I think about what goes on in Washington sometimes. I wish we could get rid of the culture of Washington. Send every congressman home, let them vote online, and make them eat lunch every day with the people whose money they spend, and it would change the way they do business. Because the lobbyists that I deal with every day are sitting in this room right now. They're the people that walk into my office off the streets of Conroe every day. So I have to think about what goes on. I'm proud of what we've been able to do. I'm proud of the fact that my kids, I am 4th generation here, kids that went through schools in Montgomery County. I have a granddaughter now. And I want to make sure that as we move forward, the opportunities that brought each of you here are still there for your kids and your grandkids going into the future. That Montgomery County continues to be a place where you can move your family, you can move your business, where you have opportunities to grow and thrive. I mean, look around. People come here for vacation. You know, we live here every day. It's like a blessing, and there's so many great places around Montgomery County. When you think about what's right here in the Woodlands, when you think about what we have around Lake Conroe, you think about all the opportunities that exist around some of the equestrian ranches and things out in the Magnolia area, historic sites in Montgomery. The growth that we're starting to see now, even up to the north in Willis, is starting to explode. If you've not been along the 59 corridor lately, go over on the east side of Montgomery County. It is amazing what is starting to happen. With 99 coming through, that growth and the whole southeastern part of Montgomery County is going to it's going to change the whole complexion of that part of Montgomery County. So we're working hard to work with developers to try to develop smartly, because growth is going to happen. A phrase was coined not long ago: the growth will either happen to you or for you, depending upon how you embrace it and how you prepare for it. So we're trying hard every day to make sure that we're taking steps to get us ready for that next phase, for that next wave of growth, because we know it's coming. So I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. I appreciate the opportunity to be your county judge. I would love to try to answer any questions that you may have. We got a couple minutes to do questions. We good on that? Anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Yes, sir.
I think a lot of us got a deal on our door about Houston taking us over and Texas going to 70%. I have a general opinion on that. And then how would that also affect a lot of people in this room that are over 65?
If the Woodlands were to incorporate, is that the question?
Incorporated versus Houston, whatever.
You know, if you were to incorporate, it would bring some of the services that the county provides out. You know, we wouldn't, you know, within the incorporated limits of the city of Conroe or Magnolia or other areas, we don't do any road maintenance, we don't do any sheriff patrols, we don't do animal control, we don't do mosquito control. All the other entities that I mentioned, the courts, the parks, the libraries, everything else, would still have those same services, but the county would move back from those services in the Woodlands where it's incorporated. And you'd have to come up with the dollars to provide those services. Because within an incorporated city limit, we can't come in and do that unless we do it under an interlocal agreement where we're funded for that. So from a county perspective, if the Woodlands were to incorporate, it would make it easier for us, quite frankly. The challenge we have is that as one of the really fast-growing counties in the state of Texas, we're very different than most other counties. When you look at, say, Fort Bend, they've got Katy, Sugarland, part of the city of Houston that covers a big footprint of their county. I think they're 45% unincorporated. We're almost 85% unincorporated in Montgomery County, which leaves the sheriff to patrol those streets, the constables to patrol those streets. It leaves commissioners to maintain the roads within their precincts that are outside of those incorporated limits. So it creates a real challenge for us to try to match that need. It would create an increase in cost, but I couldn't talk to you specifically about exactly what those increases would be. That'd probably be more of a township type question to get more detail on that. Yes, ma'am.
I understand that you are in favor of extending Woodlands Parkway. Tell me why, as a Woodlands resident, that would be of any positive within the Woodlands. Now, thoroughfare for Magnolia. Why should we be in favor of that?
The question is, why extend the Woodlands Parkway? Well, I will tell you that in 2006, I had a resolution from the South County Chamber Mobility Committee requesting that I go buy the right-of-way for Woodlands Parkway so that when the funds were available to construct it, the right-of-way would already be in place, which I did as Commissioner of Precinct 2. What I see happening with that Parkway extension, if somebody wanted to cut through the Woodlands from 2978 to 45, they could do that today, right now. But they're not going to do it. I mean, there's 18 red lights between 2978 and I-45. In fact, the traffic studies that we looked at showed that if you looked at traffic with that extension built, about 3% of the traffic that would be increased would make it as far east as Kirkendall. So the people are not going to cut through. I don't think people are going to cut through the Woodlands to get to 45. What I see happening, when we get 249 constructed, it'll go from where it ends right now at the toll lanes end at Tomball. We're working with Harris County, Hector, and with TxDOT to extend 249 up through Magnolia all the way to Navasota to tie into Highway 6 to get to College Station. Once 249 is constructed, I can see people from the western side of the Woodlands wanting to get over to 249. I could actually see more traffic going out of the Woodlands than coming into the Woodlands. So it would give people another alternative route to get over to 249, to get over to the Grand Parkway without having to come back to Kirkendall or down to Boudreaux or some of the other ways to wind down to get there. So, to me, I see a lot more traffic going out. It was the same question we had when we expanded Fish Creek Thoroughfare. That was a project, and Virgil, you've seen what's happened over there. You know, that was one that I took a great deal of personal criticism on when we built Fish Creek Thoroughfare. But the very people that criticized it the most were people that held copies for me when I ran for county judge, because they loved the project. It made an opportunity for them to get to Magnolia or get back to Conroe in a much easier manner. Yes, sir.
Is there any way we can quantify the amount of usage that would animate Woodlands westbound on Woodlands Parkway extension code?
To quantify the amount of traffic do you think that would use that road?
Justify
It would just be an engineer's estimate. You know, we could get those numbers, and I think they probably exist. I just don't know them off the top of my head. Certainly, but engineers' estimates are just that. You know, when you get 10 different engineers, you're going to get 10 different opinions, just like most things. But my personal thought is that you'd probably see more traffic using that extension to go west and to cut through the Woodlands. Yes, sir. Mike.
If you actually read the details of those two studies, especially the one that Brown and Gay did, we talked about 5,600 cars on the Woodlands Parkway. That was two-way traffic, not one-way traffic. Right now, Commissioner Nowak has an origin destination study underway to quantify, they can do it through Bluetooth cameras and so forth, what traffic is going where it's coming from. That's what we don't know. So, since the May 2015 bond failed, the traffic on Woodlands Parkway from Branch Crossing to Kirkendall has increased 15% without the extension, and it's now 80% of its capacity. And all that traffic is coming from the west via May Valley, Research to Branch Crossing, because they're trying to avoid the school in 2978 and the light in 2978. So the traffic, and this is another thing Brown and Gay said, the traffic will come on the Woodlands Parkway whether or not you get an extension or don't have an extension. The real issue is the township and the county needs to work on widening Woodlands Parkway west of Kirkendall.
That would have a huge impact, is that expansion between 29 and 78.
With some of the extension of high traffic areas, I don't know if it's the subdivisions of the county and other areas, from 1960 forward, they have built, because the homeowners have complained about the noise level being so excessive, it's decreased their home values and made it, not pleasant to live because of the noise of the high traffic. So would the county be the one to erect like those tall concrete or brick walls to reduce the sound noise for those people that back up to, because there's a lot of homes that back up to Woodlands Parkway, if they would be concerned about it decreasing their home values?
And the question is about sound. The question is about sound walls on high volume traffic roadways that I'm aware of, and Mike, you might be able to answer. Has the township ever built a sound wall?
The only sound wall that's being built right now is being built by the federal government, TxDOT, on 2978, behind the 50 houses in Montgomery, part of the expansion of 2978. The issue came up at when we put the right flyover in at I-45 along the houses in Woodlands, but the problem was there wasn't sufficient right of way to put a sound wall, and the residents weren't willing to give up their property for the sound walls.
Yeah.
So we have not had any sound walls installed within so except it took me 5 years to work with Senator Williams when he was in the legislature to get those sound walls on 2978.
Yeah. I didn't think that the township, I know that Montgomery County has never built. Does that help? Oh, wow. So you want me to start over? And just to answer that question, the county's never built a sound wall. Those are all built by TxDOT. I didn't know if the township had, but I know we've never, just the cost. And they have a certain cost to value ratio that they have to meet, the number of homes that are impacted based on the dollars that they spend before they'll even consider construction of sound walls. One more question.
Could you answer the one that he was talking about coming out here and then calls?
What Mike's comments were? He was talking about the sound walls at 2978 by May Valley. Those were constructed by TxDOT. And the county and the township have never built sound walls, just simply, mostly because of the cost associated with it. I can tell you that for commissioners, when I was commissioner in Precinct 2, we had about 800 miles of road in Precinct 2. And I could pave about 20 miles a year. And that holds true for most of the precincts as you look at the roads that they have. So the commissioners will never, ever be able to get caught up on the construction of the roadways. They can't maintain what they have, quite frankly. So that's why bond issues become very critical in meeting some of the challenges we have with growth and mobility going forward. So I hope you would keep that in mind as other bond issues come forward in the future, that it's going to require some of that to make sure we can meet the needs. So thank you for the opportunity to be with you today.